If you consider yourself mildly depressed right now, not from some serious traumatic event in your childhood or chemical imbalance in your brain, but just from this pervasive feeling of shittiness in the past couple weeks or months, then this video could be the one that teaches you the hack you need to cure your depression all on your own. If you resonate with anything I just said, then you owe it to yourself to watch this video all the way through to the end, because the tip I'm going to share could be the one that you just haven't heard yet. Since on this channel, I don't just repeat what they teach you in the videos that already have millions of views on these topics. Hi, my name's Ethan, and on this channel, I speak to young men in the self-improvement depression stage of knowing everything you're supposed to be doing, but for some reason you still can't take consistent action and mature into a man of action who's accomplishing all of his goals. You are clearly who I'm speaking to on this channel if you clicked on this video, so scroll down below to hit the subscribe and notification bell buttons, because it's going to be a win-win for both of us. During the worst years of my self-diagnosed depression, which were my second and third years in university, I was just failing in every aspect. Essentially, the kindling that lit the fire of this thing was my breakup with my very first girlfriend at the end of my first year about. And then just sort of the demotivation and depression that followed from that really spiraled and hit the other tree branches of my life. Like my grades were going down. I wasn't hanging out with friends as often, and every other tree branch you can think of was getting hindered, right? How I tried to deal with this was just the normal ways you're supposed to. So my mom had this insurance benefit plan through her work where everybody in the family, if they were under a certain age, got like a couple $1,000 worth of psychologist or social worker benefits, right? What I did is, and this took me way longer to experiment with than it should have, just actually going to see a therapist, because I had been trying to solve things on my own this whole time, right? But eventually I found the motivation to just give a phone call to a therapist office. I booked the appointment and I went over. Unfortunately, I ended up trying this with two separate psychologists and a social worker, and all three of the appointments were useless. I didn't get any benefit out of them. It was just them interviewing me for an hour of questions like, were there any traumatic things in your childhood? Did your parents have a loving, fulfilling marriage? Things like that. And that's not where my self-diagnosed depression was coming from. I knew it because I don't have any problems like that. I just wanted to know why I was feeling so shitty all the time. There was months at a time in my second and third year of university where it's like the brain fog was so intense. Months would go by in the blink of an eye. So as frustrated as I was after seeing 3 professionals for help on what I thought was a big mental problem and getting no help at the end of it, I ended up deciding that the only person who could help me out was me. And there was 2 ways I could take this. I am so incredibly grateful to my younger self for going the positive route of thinking, all right, well, nobody else can help me, which means it's all up to me. And there was something sort of calming about that, just knowing that it's up to me. I don't have another option of getting a therapist to help me out because they just weren't able to solve things for me. And so I found some sort of therapy just in that sense of I'm in control and I am going to be the one who has to change things. Very possibly, I could have taken the negative route after these 3 sessions had failed, and I could have totally just gone down the path, like the doomer path and all the memes of, oh man, nothing's gonna get solved, society is screwed, blah blah blah, the world sucks, this is my life now. And I'm so happy I didn't go down that one. One caveat that I want to add is that in making this video, I'm not discouraging people from seeking professional help. If you think that it could benefit you, it is certainly worth a shot. It's just that I want to introduce the idea to people who had similar contexts as my own when I was younger, that it may be completely up to you. Like, you don't have some sort of chemical imbalance or trauma to work through, but it's just some psychological block, and you're not following today's video tip that is just making you sort of hate yourself, hate your life, be incredibly negative for months at a time. And that's what this video is about. Anyway, the climax of the story happens after I came to this realization that all of the power is in my hands. I've got to make a change in my life to solve this thing. And it all culminates in a few painful months that followed. I was awkwardly trying to do all of these self-improvement routines and habits that they recommended in the YouTube videos that had millions of views on when you search up how to cure my depression. And they weren't working. None of them were specifically tailored to me, it felt like, and I was just kind of doing generic productive things, but they weren't solving the root cause of my poor mental health. In my third year of university, there was this one night in particular where I had been spending a couple painful months just painstakingly drilling these positive CEO morning routine habits in, where I was doing all of the things like cold showers and all of those to build my discipline. And none of my problems were getting solved, I noticed. I followed this advice, but I still felt as shitty all the time. On this one night in particular, me and a good friend were walking back to his student housing from this party we had been to that night. And on the way back, we sat on the cement stairs that were leading up to his building so that he could smoke a cig. And we were just talking about whatever. And out of nowhere, I just burst out crying. Like, I was tearing up, my voice was cracking, and I just said to him, like, I'm putting all of my effort into this thing. I'm trying so hard to fix my life right now, and nothing is working. Now, this actually came as a shock to him, because even being one of my good friends, I was in that self-improvement mindset a couple of years ago that was fashionable, of you got to be a lone wolf. Don't tell anybody about your goals or your habits or your whatever. Just keep it on the DL. And, you're like an undercover self-improvement guy, right? He asked me what was wrong, and I just told him, I'm still failing some of these classes. I'm trying so hard at everything to get my life back together. Every morning I'm doing this like hour-long morning routine, and it's just nothing is going right. And he bluntly asked me, well, how much are you studying every day? And it's so common sense, and I feel so dumb that it takes me months to learn the most common sense things sometimes. But after all that trial and error, he was right. I was doing all of these morning routine, nighttime routine, reading these books, etc., and trying to do exactly what they said in all of the self-improvement videos. But I wasn't doing today's video tip. I wasn't working daily on the highest impact task on my agenda. My highest impact task would have just been studying for my classes, doing all the homework way ahead of time instead of procrastinating by watching these self-improvement YouTube videos, and getting good grades again. I was in this weird negative feedback loop where in my mind I thought, if I do all of these productivity hacks, good habits, and things like that they recommend online, then that's going to solve my depression. And then after that, I can start working on like school again, getting my social relationships back in good form, things like that. But he kind of brought common sense to the table in that if I had spent all of that time I invested in self-improvement, procrastination, on actually solving my highest ticket priorities, which was studying, then I would not have been failing these exams and midterms. I would not have been having to like tell my parents, all these bad grades I'm getting and get the repercussions from that. It would have cured the main root of my self-diagnosed depression. Today's video tip is exactly that. Stop watching these videos. Stop doing everything if you aren't already making daily progress on your highest importance task, which is probably studying, or it's probably applying to jobs if you recently graduated, or it's applying to university, it's applying to school, it's training, it's whatever. If you aren't making daily progress on the most important task in your life right now, and you're trying to procrastinate or just sub it out for the less important but the more fun thing to do, which is to do this whole CEO morning routine, then you're doing it wrong. You have to be making daily progress on the most important task of your life. Right now, I want you to pause the video and just ask yourself, what is that one thing that I'm most scared of, that I'm most procrastinating right now, that I can just stop avoiding? Because if I do that thing daily, like just an hour a day extra, then it will probably solve most of my depression and anxiety. In fact, I'd be interested if you would comment down below what your highest ticket task is right now. Just say, okay, I admit it, I'm admitting to all of you other viewers, I need to be studying right now, or I need to be applying to jobs, or I need to be doing whatever because you're part of an extracurricular, I don't know. Just admit to what it is, because if you can type it out or write it down, then just start investing time in that, at least an hour extra every day, so that you're making progress on it. I know this sounds so common sense, but if you're like me at all, then common sense might not be one of your strengths, and it takes months of trial and error to fumble your way into something that would have taken anybody else like 10 minutes to figure out. I'm happy to also comment down below and reply to your comments and just provide my 2 cents on how I would go about making progress on that thing that is causing you all of the stress in your life. If you like today's video, I highly advise you to scroll down and hit the red subscribe button. Also, to share this with a friend if you think it could get them out of their self-improvement depression stage of knowing everything they should be doing, but still not doing it. I also advise you to hit the notification bell so that I can stay on your ass with these near daily uploads. Finger the like button, and again, comment down below what the most important task in your life to accomplish is right now. Again, I've been Ethan. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.